Welcome to the Dunn Wisdom Show, where faith meets action and leadership transforms lives. I am your host, Melissa P. Dunn, public servant, entrepreneur, and leadership strategist. Each week, we sit down with change makers and trailblazers, as well as leaders who embody courage, integrity, and wisdom in action. Together, we will uncover the stories, philosophies, and practices that help them to lead boldly and live abundantly. In today's episode, we're shining the spotlight on a leader right here in the city of Lauderhill, Florida, Miss Yvonne Pubien. Now, Yvonne is a retired Lauderhill police officer turned entrepreneur and founder of the Creatively You training team. She's also a proud graduate of the Lauderhill Shines Cohort 1. Now, that is a program designed to empower small businesses that I founded in our city. Now, from her years of service in law enforcement to her journey as a business owner, Yvonne's story is one of courage under pressure, values-based leadership, and the resilience it takes to reinvent yourself. Stay tuned as we dive into her journey, her leadership philosophy, and the lessons she's learned about choosing courage over comfort in the face of a challenge. Hi, Yvonne. Welcome to the Dunn Wisdom Show.
Hi, and thank you for having me.
Yvonne, tell us a little bit about your journey. Who is Yvonne Pubien?
I want to say resilient. I'm a lot of things, and I think every day I'm finding out new things about myself through this journey. And a big part of it is walking in that faith that God has released in me, embracing the new me, really finding out who I am. Today I might be the person that's going forth and working in the community. Tomorrow I might be the grandmother that's staying home, watching the grandbaby and doing absolutely nothing. So embracing every angle of what God is showing me in each day.
I love that. So being authentically you, right?
Yeah.
So I know you through our work in the city of Lauderhill together, me in the role of a commissioner, and then you as a retired police officer. Tell me a little bit about your days on the force.
So as a police officer.
And how long were you serving as a police officer?
So I served 20 years, but then came back as a reserve officer.
Okay.
An officer that was working part-time. So within my 20-year journey of law enforcement, I had an opportunity to work very closely with the community. After being on the road 5 years, there was something in me that said there was more for families besides the traditional. I just take you to jail and then I cut you loose. There was something that had to happen afterwards. And I was that police officer that would show up at your door, even after I arrested you, but show up at your door and find out what are the circumstances, what are the issues, and genuinely want to know how could I help, how can I point you in the right direction, whether that was a single mother, whether it was working with the youth. And so I think the police recognized that I call it a gift because it's a gift.
It is.
It truly is.
It is.
A gift to connect on a different level, and they saw community policing in me. And after serving for 5 years, they transitioned me to the community policing unit. And so from that place, I was able to really be impactful with families. And one particular project that they allowed me to work on was the Windermere community.
Oh my goodness. Let me tell you, Yvonne, I was just in Windermere the other day. We are actually working together to put a peace garden in that community. And can I tell you that the residents of that community is still talking about you and Sarvis.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear.
They remember you. You really left an impact in that community. But I didn't mean to interrupt. Continue with the story.
So working along the community in Windermere, it started, I guess, my journey where I am now, even as an entrepreneur. It allowed me again to really connect with the families, start program bases that didn't exist within the police department, make new partnerships with organizations that provided services that the police department didn't have initially, and to also find funding through those partnerships and get the work done. So,
How was Windermere before you started working in that community?
So Windermere, I would say it was eligible to receive multiple grants because it was a part of a community that we had a lot of transitions between families through rentals that typically when you have families that move in and move out in a week, something's going on there. Some of the dynamics aren't good. And so we had some key players in that particular community that was just causing havoc. It was enough that they were able to write a grant for it and place 2 police officers in there, like permanently. That was
Sure.
my station.
Yeah.
And we
So
were,
if memory serves me right, you had a lot of gun violence happening in that community.
yes, ma'am.
You had a lot of domestic violence happening in that community and robberies happening in that community.
Right.
Right?
Those are the dynamics that allow for police officers to go for specific grants to say, hey, we need some extra funding because we need to do something specific in this community. And that particular community had all those type of incidents happening very regularly, right? And so being placed there, it allowed me to really connect with the families. Again, I'm curious and creative, and
Yeah.
it allowed me to, put some things in place and work with our youth, work with the challenges that the families were facing, and bring in some real results. And from there, I knew, like, I want to do this even after I retire.
I love that. So
Yeah.
you found your purpose in that work.
Yeah, I found my purpose in there. And so initially we started a nonprofit. I started a nonprofit to work alongside of Walmart, where you could submit and get a grant to help with some of the fundings, because, working in a city, sometimes your work is stopped because there's no funding there, right? And so why should I be limited as to what I can do in that community because the police department doesn't have funding? So what better way to do it? Yvonne, start your own nonprofit and go find the money. And so that's kind of like what I did. It was called Helping Hands Community Center. And we were able to write small grants.
And that nonprofit was your own nonprofit?
That was my own nonprofit.
I love that.
And so when I decided to transition into my business, I knew I didn't want to carry that name. I didn't want to carry what I had done in the police. I wanted something new. And just before I retired, a particular project came to my heart, and the name came up, and it was called GIFT. And what does that stand for? Guardians Involved for Tomorrow. Getting our community leaders, our local businesses to come in and say, hey, how do we support this particular school? At that particular time, there was one of the elementary schools, Broward Estates Elementary. I don't know if it has changed the name or if it's...
Well, Broward Estates Elementary is one of the schools, unfortunately, that was just repurposed in Broward County. So that school has transitioned from being an elementary school into now being an early learning center, but that school no longer exists. Yeah.
Well, at the time, the school was facing some challenges, and I was a community policing officer, and I was able to start that particular program. It started out as a program, as a project, to say, hey, how do we come in and support the school? Even though I'm not a school resource officer, the school is a community within itself. How, as a community policing officer that oversees the entire area, how do we come in and support the school? And that project was called GIFT. Yeah, and so with that particular project, we did so well. The kids, their grades went up. We brought in community leaders to do projects. We did the first mural in that school. We did a beautification project. And so it opened the doors for others to come in and say, hey, how can we impact? I can recall a year where they had the business come out and deliver book bags and support the teachers in the classroom. And so it was a beautiful project. And it went so well that I decided, well, hey, I want to transition to be a SRO. And at the time, the police chief, nobody saw it. They were like, no, you're good at what you're doing. We want to keep you in community policing. But that particular chief of police said, no, you can do something different. He gave me something different. And so I actually went into school as an SRO.
An SRO, school resource
officer. And that allowed me to do even more because now I'm housed there. And the programs that came out of there, the people that came in, I can remember Gordon Weeks coming in sitting down at the school in the after school program, talking to kids and telling them. And I'm like, how often does this happen? Like, that's rare, right? So finding those rare things that you can bring in and help the kids see something different. And so when I retired in 2019, I knew I wanted to continue to do that work, right? But how do I transition the nonprofit with something that there's a lot of nonprofits throughout Broward County, right? And there's some ones that's doing great work, big work. And here I am, a new nonprofit coming in, and what am I going to bring to the table, right? And so I always believe that if you believe in what you're doing, you should be able to invest in your own things, right? And so hence where we came up with investing in a company called Nailed It DIY Fort Lauderdale. We invested in that company to bring a workforce to the nonprofit and to allow specific trainings for our high school students. Because one of the battles that I did see was that a lot of grandparents are raising their grandchildren. And so we would continuously get kids that were going into the system because they went into Target and stole something. But when you look at the background of it, it's because grandma didn't have the money or mama didn't have the money. And so us being able to have a nonprofit and a for-profit allowed for us to really engage in bringing in revenue to the nonprofit, as well as giving a workforce place for young people.
And so you transitioned then. You sound like along the way you were making a lot of transitions, right? And the biggest transition of all was going from a police officer to an entrepreneur. But it sounds to me like at the heart of it all, at the heart of every single transition that you made was service. Would you agree?
Yeah, it started with service.
And a commitment to service. And my experience of you is that that's who you really are authentically.
Right. Yes. Well, yes. Thank you.
That's who you are authentically.
Honestly, that is it. Every big project that I start and it seems to open up even more doors, it starts from a place of what's the true need? How can I service that need? And not looking at what money I have or don't have, right? It starts from this is a need and it needs to be provided. And somebody got to do it, right? Why not me? And so I'm that why not me girl, right? So I find myself in strange places. Like when we invested in Nailed It DIY Fort Lauderdale, we were the only minority Black owners in the company.
In that franchise, right? It's a national franchise,
right?
And you were the only, person of color to own one, and in a community that perhaps some would consider under-resourced.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of people said, no, I wouldn't bring that business to Lauderhill. It's not a great fit. But I'm not the one that, I'm kind of hard-headed. I don't listen to what people say because I have another voice that kind of guides me.
Come on now.
And that voice tells me, okay, do this, do that. And again, I don't have a roadmap that says, oh, if you do this, it's going to be that. I have a do this, and then I have promises, right? So when I look back on the promises,
come on now,
the promises are the one that say, well, if he say do it, I got to look backwards to look forward. Because if I move based on what I see, what I think, what people say,
you'll never go anywhere. You'll never go anywhere. That's it. That's it. And so that philosophy, right? Allowing yourself to be a person that's spirit-led, holding on to the promises, right? And then really focusing on the instructions and really having that intimate relationship with God sounds to me like that's at the center of all of it. Would you agree?
So it leads me back to something I said to you, I want to say a little earlier, the one thing, right? Because I will say this, as you go in this journey, right, being that I have rent to pay, right? We have a nice, beautiful space. That space costs, right? And so sometimes you can start thinking about, I got to pay this, the month's coming up, all those things. I
got to make payroll.
Right, all these things that naturally happen, right? And sometimes we can lose our focus.
Yes.
And sometimes it's a little bit at a time, right? You don't just jump in and totally lose your focus. It's a little bit at a time,
it's a
inch
drift.
by inch. Right, and you find yourself drifting away from the source and from the guidance of the source, right? You start implementing things that you see work for this time or season when you are guided, and you start kind of depending even on yourself. It don't always have to be outside. You can start depending on yourself a little bit more, and then you still find yourself drifting, right? And so I found myself in that place, right? We'll start with 2019, when we opened the doors in COVID, right? So that initial phase was
a huge challenge.
Oh my God, right?
Yeah.
What have I done? And it took every ounce of the reassurance of the promises to sit me down. And then what I did see is certain things started happening, like you starting the Lauderhill Shines program, right? Different doors started opening within the city, different policies and things started changing and shifting. Like one of the policies that you put in place to do business with the business owners that are in
the target market program that I created. Yeah.
And so with that being said, those things started happening and being in place, and it allowed us every day a new day.
Yes.
Like it didn't say this is promised for a year, but every day a new opportunity came along, right? And we saw that and we embraced it. God continued to bring in new partnerships, new resources, new ways of thinking about the business, right? Because I would say with Nail the DIY, Fort Lauderdale, there was a slew of business owners within that franchise. We're down to 3 or 4 now, right?
Oh, wow. A lot of them went out of business.
A lot of them went out of business.
Look at that.
Because if you're not hearing from the source, and I say this in the most humblest way.
Sure.
The source keeps you pointing yourself in the new direction that things are coming. And so creatively, you training team, where did that come from?
But let's kind of paint the picture. So COVID happened, and then you relied on source to guide you, take this step. So actually he was clearing the path and building the road as you were taking it.
As I was taking it. Because the map wasn't like, I had ideas, but it wasn't like, Yvonne, if you do this, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Again, I referred back to the promise.
And you held on to the promise. So you remained focused, you shifted your mindset, and you just stayed focused on what the promise was.
Right.
And obedient to the steps that you were told to take moment by moment. So you really kind of leaned into the whole idea of being a spirit-led leader, right? In the middle of the pandemic. In the middle of an economic downturn where other businesses in the same franchise were going out of business.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? And so then you now had another idea. So how did you then transition, and what caused you to transition from being a part of the franchise to going out on your own with the same business model?
So as we were going through Nailed It DIY, all the events, all the parties, something within me said, long before, there's more to this than just hosting the events, hosting the parties. Those things are great because what it does for my my student interns it allows them to have a direct connect with the community and do the service work. Okay, when we decided that there's more to this, new doors started opening up. Like Miami-Dade College reached out to us and said, hey, we have some courses that you can take in order for you to get certified as an actual trainer within the construction trades industry. And so we started revamping how we were doing our trainings and really focused and dived into the construction trades.
Okay. Well, hold it right there. I want to hear all about it when we come right back.
The law office of Austin Pammies Norris Weeks Powell is a full-service law firm practicing in the area of governmental law, including the representation of municipalities, civil litigation, personal injury, real estate, and corporate transactional matters. With over 100 years of collective experience, our attorneys are admitted to practice before state courts, federal courts, and the United States Supreme Court. We are conveniently located in downtown Fort Lauderdale and can be reached at 954-768-9770. Or for more information about the law firm of Austin Pammies Norris Weeks Powell, visit our website at apnwlaw.com. That's apnwlaw.com.
Ready for adventure? Traveling with Danella Richard takes you on a journey through the world's most exciting destinations. Danella brings you authentic and thrilling experiences that inspire and connect us all. Discover unique activities, fascinating cultures, mouth-watering cuisine, and so much more. Watch Traveling with Danella Richard now. Scan the QR code and join the adventure today.
All right, welcome back. So Yvonne, continue with the story. So Miami-Dade College gave you an opportunity to do some training.
And from that training, it led us into some specific certifications with National NCCER. And,
What does NCCR stand for? Don't worry about it. Anyways, you got some certification. It's all good, girl. You got some certification. Some more qualifications, right?
Yeah, it kind of threw me because I'm so engulfed with just the unbelief that they offered these classes and the classes cost like $1,500. And I can recall hearing a voice that said, and when I say a voice, that voice with that small voice inside
Inside of all of us.
Yeah, tell her that you'll take the class when they have a sponsor. Like, what? I have the $1,500. I can pay for it. No, tell her you'll take the class when they have a sponsor. And so as I say these words to her, she starts kind of chuckling like, no, Yvonne, we don't have any sponsors, and I doubt that we're gonna have sponsors. This is a new program. And I'm like, well, okay, not a problem. I'll reach back out.
Sure.
2 weeks later, she calls me. Hey, Yvonne, you ready to register for the program?
They had a sponsor.
We got a sponsor. And not only was I able to get sponsored, they reached out to me. Hey, do you know anybody else who wants to be in a program? And so at least 7 or 8 people that I knew of. And so that's why I say the blessing ain't always only for you.
And so you held the door open for other people.
And so I was able to refer some of my student interns that had just graduated from high school, as well as some people that are out there working in the construction world that don't have their certification.
I love that.
Yes.
So what I'm hearing is service.
Yes, ma'am.
Obedience, resilience, and generosity.
Yeah.
Those are all really amazing characteristics, and those are all amazing ways for you to navigate change and overcome challenges in a very courageous way. So now you take the training, and what other door did that lead for you?
So what that did was open some opportunities for us to actually give the trainings to a particular company that has embraced us wholly in so many different ways with and the faith that it took to run the business, to get up every day and go to class, and like it was hard.
I can imagine.
It was hard trying to see all those things put together and not being able to schedule events for the money still, because I still got rent, right? I still got to have rent. And so, again, just relying on the one thing. The words say, put the kingdom of God first, right? And a lot of times we think, put the kingdom of God first means, oh, go and do this and do that. I need to be ministering. I need to be the kingdom of God first is taking out that time, reading the word, hearing the direction, and obeying it. And it comes in different shapes and forms, but it's the same word, and it's driving you to the destination where you ain't got to figure it all out. And so while I was doing that one thing, all the other things were being figured out.
Wonderful. And isn't that what true freedom is?
Yeah.
Because then you don't have to figure it out for your own. You don't have to figure it out on your own, right?
Yes.
Because as long as you make that quality time to be intimate,
Right.
then the training and the instructions come to you.
You don't have to get it all right.
You don't have to get it all right.
And I think that's a demand that we put on ourselves. And I will say I put on myself as well. You know, I just came back from having knee surgery, right?
So that's another challenge you had to navigate.
Yeah, between having, going through, even knowing that I needed to go and have knee surgery because I had started that little drift again where I started work, and sitting back on putting the one thing first. It was work. I'm putting that thing in there, but not putting it first. Right? And so I found myself needing to go and get knee surgery. And doing the knee surgery afterwards, I can recall them telling me, Yvonne, you got to go to therapy. I'm like, no, I don't need to go to therapy. I'm going to be fine. I'll do my own therapy. And the deeper voice was in me, no, Yvonne, you need to go to therapy. And so when I started going to therapy, just even seeing how our day-to-day life and the things that happen, even things that seem like they're not so good, how God will use all them
All of it
circumstances
to teach you a lesson.
to teach you.
Yeah.
And so as they're working on this knee and they're telling me, Yvonne, you need to isolate the what's happening here, but they still worked on this knee. And I'm like, why gotta do exercise over here? Let's just stay focused here. And they're like, no, you got to do both. And so within that, I'm learning, and I did learn. Sometimes you have to focus in the area and let God show you in that specific area the changes that you need to make, the things, the way that you need to pivot. All those things is happening, that one thing that I'm focused on. But I still can do the thing that I know to do. And so I knew this knee works just fine. And so it can be both.
Because sometimes it doesn't have to be either or.
Right. Sometimes we'll make a choice to just do this.
Yeah.
And don't put the focus on the one thing. And the one thing is the one that's taking care of
all of it.
All the other things.
Well, I truly enjoyed our conversation, and I know this is a sample of some of the work that you do, right? That you train folks to do. So how can people come and support your business? How can they reach out to you?
So 2 things. We do a lot of organizations where they come in, they bring their youth in, and they have their team buildings. You can contact us to have a team building for your youth, and we will curate something specific to your organization. If you want to come in and have a birthday party, or just I want to go and create, we have Nailed It DIY Studio Fort Lauderdale that's still up and running. You can go there and you can book your class there. The easiest way is to send us the email, Yvonne at Nailed It DIY, or Creatively You Training Team at gmail.com.
I'll put all the information in the show notes so that folks will be able to get in touch with you. Yvonne, any final words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom. Here it is right here. Grow in grace.
Grow in grace.
Yeah, you gotta let yourself grow in the grace that God has already provided for you, and everything else happens.
I love that. Well, thank you for joining us for this conversation today. I'm so happy that you were able to join us. Again, I want you to walk good, take good care of yourself. Be well, everyone.